LeVert, killer cross. LeVert, La highlight.
In an NBA game, the most exciting action happens on the court, but there are some times when the bench players are really the ones to watch. Today, we're counting down the wildest bench reactions in NBA history. Let's get started. Number 10, Bazemore cheers. Kent Bazemore was a rookie for the Golden State Warriors during the 2012-2013 NBA seasons. The new player would spread his legs and punch the air before and during the games to lift everyone's spirits. He couldn't play with his teammates, but he was happy to be on the sidelines to hype up his teammates and fans. Bazemore even invented a signature layup, with the young player thrusting his arms into the air anytime his goal was scored and dancing on the bench. His teammates and coach noted his efforts and often said his energy was great. Bazemore became an almost cheerleader for the team during the season, with signature moves gaining a lot of attention. Bazemore claimed in an interview that even foreign fans sent him pictures of his dance and said they tried to do it themselves. At number 9, Steph Curry's salsa. There are a lot of dancers on this list, but Stephen Curry's celebratory salsa dance probably puts him at the top. Curry spontaneously erupted into a few salsa steps after his teammate Leandro Barbosa managed an impressive play for the Golden State Warriors. Curry's courtside celebration occurred in April 2015 during a match against the Phoenix Suns. The moment occurred during the third quarter of the game, while the Warriors were 4 points ahead. The commentators took note of Curry's salsa dancing with a towel wrapped around his neck right afterwards. After Curry finished his performance, surrounded by teammates on the bench, the commentators moved to a play-by-play of Barbosa's score. Barbosa can be seen zooming past opponents and jumping over the Suns' Archie Goodwin. He then manages to jump over to the basket and dunk the ball. It's obvious why Curry began dancing and the other Warriors began jumping up and down at that point in the game. At number 8, Major League routine. Now, while it's obvious Steph Curry has moves, he's got nothing on the LA Lakers. In a funny moment from a 2009 NBA game, the yellow-garbed Lakers are seen recreating a choreographed moment from the 1989 film Major League. After a teammate scored, the Lakers uncrossed their legs, stomped in celebration, and recrossed their legs, switching to the other side. Without jumping and down, they managed to cheer their teammate on quietly. But why did they do something like that? It was actually because of a 2009 NBA rule that required all bench players to be sitting down during the game. Before the rule was put in place, reserves could stand during the game before their teammates scored the first basket, and while they stood, they could jump up and down to celebrate. The Major League choreography was clearly a creative way for the Lakers to get around the new directives. At number 7, Brooklyn Nets dance. Another team of kooky dancers were the Brooklyn Nets. In a game against the Dallas Mavericks, DeMarre Carroll scored a basket and his teammates erupted into a very in-sync dance. The Nets were in the lead at 48 when the basket was scored. Carroll managed to score a three-pointer from halfway across the court, a feat even the commentator complimented. The crowd went wild and the Nets reserves on the bench went wilder. Dressed in gray sweatshirts and waving around towels, the reserves hopped on one foot near the bench and managed to do a few steps of an impromptu dance. Their excitement was clear as they bounced around on the court side, cheering on Carroll as he took his place on the court. At number 6, Andrew Bogut's hands. A lot of the teams so far have had great dance moves and managed to be impressive on and off the court. The same can't be said for Andrew Bogut's celebration. The Golden State Warrior threw up his hands in weird positions after an excellent play by his team. The Warriors were playing the Toronto Raptors when Klay Thompson and Andre Iguodala managed to execute a spectacular alley-oop move. Thompson ran across the court with the ball, while Iguodala raced towards the basket, catching the ball and dunking as Thompson shot it to him from across the court. The moment made Bogut clearly very happy as he raised his hands, swung them around, and tried to high-five any teammate. He was just as excited as the other reserve players on the list, but he seemed to be the least coordinated. As he moved across the court side, it seemed like he didn't even know what to do with his hands. Maybe Steph Curry could give him a few pointers. At number 5, Robin Lopez's jumping. Robin Lopez might also need a little advice on coordination because he likes to jump around senselessly. The Phoenix Suns player got a little too excited during a 2010 game against the LA Lakers. The Western Conference Finals drew the two teams to an intense match where Goran Dragic managed to turn the game in the Suns' favor. Dragic leapt across the floor, managed to swiftly execute a spin move, scoring a basket in a few seconds' time. The score understandably delighted Lopez, who began to leap up and down, screaming incoherently. The Suns players' screams punctured through the noise of the crowd and could be heard even as the commentary began. While it is touching that the reserve player was so invested, this was perhaps one of the wildest and unrestrained reactions on the list. Number 4. Iguodala ballerina spin. Andre Iguodala is an NBA All-Star that has had a stellar record. Everyone knows him as an expert swingman, but as it turns out, he can spin too. During an exciting moment in a 2015 game against the Rockets, the Golden State Warriors spun around in circles on his tiptoes. Was he performing his ballet audition? Well, he was actually excited over Harrison Barnes' basket. Barnes had managed to jump over the Rockets player Dwight Howard and score a basket, increasing the lead of the Warriors by 3 points. The moment was big for Iguodala, who instantly jumped up from his bench and put his hands on his head. He then stood on his tiptoes and spun around a couple of times near the benches. At number 3, LeBron's dance moves. We told you there were a lot of dancers on this list. Well, it may be hard to imagine LeBron James dancing kookily. At 6'9", the NBA All-Star is a legendary figure in the NBA and is often compared to Michael Jordan. You wouldn't expect him to get courtside silly, but he dances a lot. Some may remember his hip-hop routine with Danny Green at a 2009 game against the Chicago Bulls. While a reserve player for the Cleveland Cavaliers, James and Green cut loose to House of Pain's Jump Around. Turns out, Green often dances to the song during and before a game. James is also known for dancing to entertain a crowd during a game. In 2013, he even entertained the watching crowds by dancing during a timeout. LeBron still dances on the court side, showing off some great moves in 2018 and 2020. And in October of last year, James even shimmied and danced with 2 of his huge basketball trophies. He really knows how to celebrate. At number 2, mucky moves. Things got really wild at a 2017 NBA game when Indiana Pacers began mimicking apes. The Cavaliers were leading by 2 points, and the game against the Indiana Pacers was only heating up when Pacers power forward Kevin Seraphin came to the rescue. Running down the court and successfully dodging a whole wall of opponents, Seraphin scored and helped pull his team's score up. Things were looking for the Pacers, and boy did they know it. The Pacers' reserve bench erupted in cheers as soon as the ball dunked through the basket, and some players even buckled their knees and positioned their arms to walk around like apes. Although the crowd blocked it out, we are guessing that some ape noises were coming from the courtside too. At number 1, tongue and towel twisters. And who can forget the time Lance Stephenson stuck his tongue out at Chris Copeland? Although the season was only Copeland's second and Stephenson's fourth, Stephenson was happy to cheer him on from the bench. The 2 Indiana Pacers players were equally overjoyed when Copeland managed to land a three-pointer in a 2014 game. Stephenson was so overjoyed, in fact, that he stuck his tongue and whipped his towel over his head like a mini helicopter. Fans got to see the silly sight as Stephenson goofed around on the bench. It would make sense that Stephenson would celebrate like that, since he even managed to become an NBA meme in a 2014 game. The meme, of course, was Stephenson blowing into LeBron James' ear during a 2014 playoff contest, an action that Stephenson says was to psych out LeBron. It's safe to say that Stephenson is a pretty strange guy, whether he's celebrating a teammate or intimidating an opponent. That's all we have for today. These are the wildest and funniest bench reactions in NBA history. Do you know about any other bench moment? Well, let us know in the comments below. Also, like our video and subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. Make sure to turn on the bell icon to get notifications. See you guys next time.